Dan Illman taking a look at race 10 at Santa Anita on opening day Saturday. It's the Grade 2 Mathias Brother Mile. $200,000 is the purse. We are going on the turf for 3-year-olds. Check out this offer from DRF.com. Take 25% off the entire DRF shop early in the new year with DRF's New Year's resolution sale. Shop.drf.com. Use the code DRF2020. Here's the field for the Grade 2 Mathias Brother Mile, 9 to 5, morning line 5. Mo Forza deserves to be the favorite. This horse has won 2 graded stakes races in a row, going 1 1/8 miles. Seems comfortable at the mile distance as well with some tactical speed. Neptune Storm, sort of the gatekeeper of the 3-year-old turf horses on the West Coast. Seems to run fine each and every time. Just hasn't gotten over the hump since returning off a mini 2-month layoff earlier in the summer for Richard Baltas. Bob and Jackie's an interesting horse we're going to talk about as well. But we'll start with the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector. There's a very fast horse in this race. That's Bob Baffert's Kingly, the number 7. And Kingly, while this pace is expected to be fast, Kingly just has one way of going, and that is going to the lead, and you really don't rate him. He might have a decent setup because the horse on the outside, press pushing him, the 10 Loafers Boy, is stretching out from 5.5 to a mile. Moving from dirt to turf, stepping up out of a maiden special weight race. And I really like this horse's pedigree. I think the Loafer's Boy actually has a chance to hit the board if he has any kind of a trip other than this, because I don't want him chasing Kingly in regards to a fast-paced situation. I think he's the one to crack first, and Kingly might keep right on going. We see the number 4 in here, Never Easy, working out a good trip. And he's the kind of horse to get those kind of trips. We'll talk about that when we get to Never Easy. We see Mo Forza. He's sitting 5th or 6th. He's the number 5. He's a horse that can be closer, but I think he's very adaptable. We'll start off with the number 1, Sash. And Sash is one of 2 horses in this race, shipping in from overseas and now trained by Mark Glatt. Sash, according to all published reports, sold for a lot of money in October. This horse, despite sort of being just a handicapper over there, never really raced in the stakes company, sold for $430,000 in October. He's now getting Lasix for the first time. They must think this horse has some ability, and he's done some good races. He is very consistent over there. I'm not that worried about this horse in a fast-paced situation because as a European runner, he likely isn't going to break very well. He's probably going to be far, far back. And if this pace is fast, I would expect Sash to make a good kick late in the game. The horse that ran 4th in his most recent start, he came back to run 2nd in another handicap over the all-weather surface. So it's really hard to gauge the class level. I'm thinking he's stepping up in the Mathis brothers for Mark Glatt. But again, they paid a lot of money for him, and he's getting Lasix for the first time. Originaire has no speed. He's your deep closer. You didn't get a chiclet because he's so far off the screen. And listen, he's been picking up pieces in his last few races, but he's underperformed. The allowance race 3 back where he just fell so far behind. He got beat by Ocean Fury. Mo Forza's handled him in his last 2 races. You got to go back to the Del Mar Derby, a race where there was some pace. He came with a run. Originaire is the kind of horse that needs this red bar, and he probably needs 1 or 2 of these horses maybe to step back. He has the late speed ratings that you see from Timeform and from a fractional standpoint that if he gets clear, he can come with a run. He is a long shot kind of horse that if he runs his race and a couple of these others maybe take a step back, he can get a piece at a price. I'm not going to count Originaire out. The 3 is Ocean Fury. And Ocean Fury last time out I think was compromised in the Let It Ride Stakes. It was a 1-mile race where there was no pace going on. And they went 48 to the half. This horse is sitting next to last. And the fact that he only got beat 3/4 of a length showed me that he really improved off the Twilight Derby after a race in which he just didn't show up. He's a horse that is a reformed maiden claimer that must prove he is of graded stakes caliber. I think his last race was good. It was a good building block. This race might be too tough. Never Easy goes out for Dick Mandello. This horse has gotten a confidence boost. He's won his last 2 races. He's done it in various ways. 2 starts back, he sat just off a fast pace, and he was able to sprint on home. Last time out, he got a nice, easy trip, and he showed some heart. Let's watch Never Easy's race. First start against Winners at Del Mar. Down towards the inside, he's passed right now. He'd set this nice, easy pace, 24-1, 49 flat. Looks like he's beat. He's going to come back resolutely. He refuses to lose, and he's getting away at the end to win by a neck. This was a rock-solid effort for Never Easy. 85 Beyer career best. He's lightly raced. He can build on it. We know he can sit off the pace. He's not making the lead in here, but he can sit under Rafael Bejarano. This is a well-bred horse that is finally figuring it out, and he's a dangerous contender in this race. Mo Forza is the horse they're all going to have to beat. And I mentioned this before the Hollywood Derby. When I looked at Mo Forza's PPs, it's sort of like a poor horse's version of Omaha Beach. A horse that took money in a lot of his early races, was probably expected to win a couple of them, didn't. And then all of a sudden the light bulb went on. He won his maiden race, and now he's won 3 in a row, and he's a Grade 1 stakes winner. The Twilight Derby, that was just an easy win. He pulled hard early, but he eventually settled after about 3/8 of a mile. He put Kingley away turning into the stretch. He held them all safe. In the Hollywood Derby, he got bumped real hard coming out of the gate. He ended up in a great spot in the pocket behind the leaders. This was a perfect trip. And we turn to the stretch for Mo Forza. He's easing to the 2-path. There's no one outside of him. He's going after Neptune Storm, who made the lead. And Mo Forza goes by Neptune Storm, and Neptune Storm's going to fight him. That's what Neptune Storm does. It's not like Mo Forza really gets away from this field late, but he's a comfortable winner. And it was a good effort with a 99 Beyer speed figure. The pace will be faster than it was in the Hollywood Derby, and he did get a perfect trip. And if you don't like playing perfect trip horses at short prices, I get it. But Mo Forza, based on what we've seen in his last 3 races, is the horse to beat. Neptune Storm turning back to a mile is key for this horse. He's 3 for 4 to mile. He likes Santa Anita, but I wonder if he likes Mo Forza. In the Twilight Derby, he tried to sit, and he tried to catch Mo Forza, and he couldn't. In the Hollywood Derby that we just saw, he tried to make the lead, and Mo Forza ran by him. Can he beat Mo Forza? It hasn't appeared to be that way right now, and Mo Forza might actually have a little bit more upside since he's more lightly raced than Neptune Storm. But you have to respect what this horse has done on the track, and I like him cutting back in distance to the mile. He's done good work at a mile at Santa Anita, and he's another horse that can be tactical. He doesn't need the lead. He can sit off. He might actually be better with a target or 2. Kingley is going to be the target. The question is, are they going to be able to reel him in? Kingley ran well in the City of Hope Mile 2 starts back against older horses. We blasted out to the front. They kind of left him alone, and he only got beat a neck that day. He ran really well. But in the Twilight Derby, we saw what happened. He went to the front, and he was no match for Mo Forza. And he was very tired at the end of that mile and an 1/8 race. And I think the mile and an 1/8 was too far for him. He just hasn't been able to go a mile and an 1/8. A mile and a 16th is probably the extent. A mile is very good for him. If he can dissuade this maiden and a couple of other speeds in this race, I think Kingley's going to give a lot better showing than what we saw in the Twilight Derby last time out. Proud Pedro is a sleeper in this race. Proud Pedro, you're going to look at his last line, and you're going to say, well, he's 66 to 1. He got beat 5 lengths by Mo Forza. He finished 7th. He's just not as good as this horse, and I would beg to differ. I think Proud Pedro is a sleeper in this race. We'll go back one start before the Hollywood Derby to the Let It Ride. It was his first start in about 4 months or so, and I thought he ran great. No pace in that race, trying to come from last, only gets beaten nose by Bob and Jackie. Thought he could build on that effort. In the Hollywood Derby, Tiago Pereira had this horse down on the inside entering the backstretch, and he made a very early inside middle move from about 8th to about 4th in a matter of 7 or 8 strides. He really used this horse to get position entering the second turn, and I think it cost Proud Pedro late. I think this time around they're going to use what has brought him to the dance in the first place. Take him back, hope for that hot pace scenario, come with a late run. This horse is not out of this race. A mile is good for him. I think the mile and an 1/8 he flattened out last time out after the early move. I just don't think that trip worked out for him. Barristan the Bold, like Sash, goes out for Mark Latt, gets Lasix for the first time, and sold at that auction overseas. Now, while Sash sold for a lot of money, Barristan the Bold sold for $100,000. That's nothing to sneeze at. He is going to try stakes foes for the first time. His win last time, his most recent win, pardon me, came in an all-weather race in Newcastle back in July. He's done some good work over firmer turf. We'll see what the turf condition is after the rain we got early this week in Santa Anita. I think Barristan the Bold, like Sash, is going to have to prove it against stakes horses. He might get the right scenario. It is encouraging that they spent a good amount of money on both of these horses. Loafer's Boy tries turf for the first time. The bottom of the pedigree, there's a lot of turf. His sire, Coil, is only 1 for 35 with first-time turf runners. The dam was 0 for 3 on turf. She has foaled 2 turf winners, one of them a first turf winner. But this horse is taking a big step up out of a Los Alamitos 5.5 furlong maiden special to this graded stakes race on opening day at Santa Anita. If he adheres to the Timeform US pace projector, and he's the one that is chasing Kingley early, he might pay the price. I think if he can work out some kind of an other trip, maybe he can sneak into the number at a big price, simply because I really like the bottom half of his pedigree. Bob and Jackie is a talented horse. There's no doubt about that. He showed that as a 2-year-old. He won the Eddie Logan opening week of Santa Anita in 2018 as a 2-year-old, where he battled on the lead. He just kept right on going. The Let It Ride Stakes, yes, it worked to his benefit the way the race was run. He was up close to a slow pace and was able to outkick both Proud Pedro and Ocean Fury, who were both compromised. But the fact that he did it off an 11-month layoff is very impressive. Let's go to that race right now. Bob and Jackie is turning for home. He's in the familiar Zayat colors. He is green as the Grinch. On his left lead, goofing around up front. These horses that are closing, compromised by the pace setup. He finally changes leads here. Once he does, kind of levels off a little bit. And he's just able to hold off Proud Pedro, who was flying at him and would have gotten there one stride after the wire. All things considering, Bob and Jackie has done nothing wrong in his career. He's won 3 of 4. That race was off a long layoff. He can build off of it. My one concern is he likes to be close. And I think he's the one that's going to be sitting off of Kingly, and I think they're going to be rolling along early. And if that's the case, it could work against both of those horses, setting it up for the logical winner, who I believe is Mo Forza, as we take a look at my top picks. I just think he's right now the real deal of the 3-year-old turf horses in Southern California. Winning from on the lead, basically, or just off of it. Winning from slightly off of it. 9 furlongs a mile. He's very good. And he's going to be my top pick in this race. I think Neptune Storm's going to give his usual good account in here. I'd love to see Loafer's Boy run well at something like 50-1, but it's a big reach for him. Maybe if you're looking for a big price in here, it's Proud Pedro, because this is a horse, again, I think is dirtied up in form and is going to get the right setup this time around. He might be the value play in your multiple race wagers. To me, Mo Forza is the most likely winner of the Grade 2 Mathias Brothers Mile. It has an approximate post time of 3:30 Pacific. Good luck.